Writer, Melissa Evans. Melissa?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So I am very excited this morning to have you all here to hear from Kristen Levesque, who is the Safe Routes to School coordinator at DOT. She's a transportation engineer there, and she has a lot of great information. I hope that you're excited to hear it. I'm personally very excited about the Safe Routes to School program and where it's gone and where Kristen is taking it in the last year and a half. I guess it's been maybe 2 years. I don't even know anymore. She'll tell us. But with that, I am going to turn it over to Kristen and let her take it away.
Thank you, Melissa. As Melissa mentioned, I'm Kristen Levesque. I'm a transportation engineer too in the Bureau of Policy and Planning, and also the Safe Routes to School coordinator for the department. The Connecticut Department of Transportation Safe Routes to School program works with stakeholders from schools, municipalities, regions, and state agencies to create safer, more accessible, and sustainable ways to walk, bike, or roll to school. So I can give you a little background. In August of 2005, the Safe Routes to School program was created by Congress as part of the Federal Transportation Bill Safety Law. So Safe, Accountable, Flexible, Efficient Transportation Equity Act, a legacy for users. At that time, the program was established and fully funded for both non-infrastructure activities and infrastructure projects for students in grades K through 8. Connecticut was among the states that appointed a Safe Routes to School coordinator and got to work establishing a strong foundation for Connecticut students to walk and bike safely. 23 infrastructure projects were initiated, designed, and constructed in 18 municipalities, and consultants conducted up to 40 site evaluations known as walk audits in 24 municipalities. The funding was eliminated in 2012, but many of the efforts continued, especially through the non-infrastructure program. In 2021, Safe Routes to School was reauthorized under IIJA, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, and the program was expanded to include all schools K through 12. Connecticut's one of many states who took advantage of this reauthorization, hired me as the new Safe Routes to School coordinator with the intent of building up the non-infrastructure program. The infrastructure program is without a dedicated funding source, but the legislation provides for flexibility with federal funding sources through competitive programs like transportation alternatives and state funding grants like the Community Connectivity Grant Program. Next slide, please. So I wanted to take a minute to talk about the 6E framework. The Safe Routes to School program is comprised of this 6E framework. Equity, education, encouragement, and evaluation are the E's that make up the non-infrastructure activities. Enforcement and engineering comprise the infrastructure portions of the program. Today, I'm going to talk about some of our current efforts within the 6E framework, as well as some of the updates to the program. All of this information and any additional information that you could be possibly curious about with the Safe Routes to School program on the framework and all aspects of the program can be found on our updated website, www.ct.gov/SafeRoutes. I really encourage you all to take a look at the website. I'll go through a little bit of that next. Next slide, please. You'll see some images here of our updated website. And as you look at the blue buttons along the banner at the top, you'll find information on registration, both for the program itself, as well as for Walk, Bike, and Roll to School Day. You'll find information and application for the new Vision Zero program distinction for schools and curriculum resources for bicycle and pedestrian safety education. As you scroll down the page, you'll see what's new and active. What is new in our program? The active transportation microgrants. The application and guidelines are found here on the website, as well as an additional link for Walk, Bike, and Roll to School Day, which is coming up on May 8th, and a link to our walk audit reports, the story maps that we've created for two different municipalities, 3 different story maps. We encourage you to take a look at these. I'll be talking about these updates, and I encourage you to visit our website. Next slide, please. To date, the equity efforts include involving all schools K through 12 across the state, reviewing areas of need, increasing our GIS-based mapping efforts, and coordination of contacts through all of our outreach and events. Education includes working directly with schools to implement pedestrian and bicycle safety curriculum. The Safe Routes to School program is working with the Vision Zero Council in 2 ways. The Vision Zero Council's Education Subcommittee had a working group that vetted the curriculum resources available on the Safe Routes to School website. In addition, new legislation allowed a Vision Zero Program Distinction for Schools award. This is a non-competitive award program that allows for recognition of participation in bicycle and pedestrian safety education, awareness of driver safety, and the mission of the Vision Zero Council, as well as encouragement, especially of student-led projects and initiatives around road safety. Next slide, please. Encouragement can be seen with outreach to community groups, presentations, as well as our events. The Safe Routes to School program participates in 2 national events a year. We made great progress at our first event last May with 25 schools participating, and we hit a new record in the fall of 38 schools participating in our October event. Our next event is National Walk, Bike, and Roll to School Day on May 8th, and we encourage you to let the schools in your area know and sign up and participate. We are currently at 41 schools registered, and we'd like to see more. Events allow for both enthusiasm and encouragement around walking, biking, and rolling to school, as well as can provide a kickoff for a more sustainable program of allowing students and families to feel empowered to walk, bike, and roll to school. In addition, the events can help to highlight some of the barriers that might be in place. Next slide, please. Evaluation has included data collection, consultation with schools and the local traffic authority, and we've completed 3 walk audits in our first year. The Safe Routes to School team is now looking to the future with GIS mapping technology and story maps to outline observations, assessment, and recommendations for both engineering and enforcement activities. Data-driven assessment of the sidewalks, streets, signage, and crossings allow for recommendations based in the Federal Highway Administration's proven safety countermeasures at site-specific locations. These may include enforcement initiatives such as dynamic speed feedback signs or engineering infrastructure like sidewalks, bike lanes, or raised crosswalks. Recommendations will be based on the site-specific observations in the walk audit and reported using levels of complexity to allow for municipalities to plan for and implement these initiatives. Walk audit report can bring together all stakeholders to help the municipalities prioritize available resources, as well as provide support when applying to competitive grant programs. Next slide, please. Our active transportation microgrant program is now up and running. The microgrants are available through application to the Council of Governments. The eligible recipients are municipalities, schools, school districts, and nonprofits. The eligible items are bicycle helmets, bicycle locks, bicycle maintenance training and materials, bike fleets, including adaptive bicycles, LCI training through the League of American Bicyclists, programs, events, and materials for bike and pedestrian safety education, and safety vest. Application to this program is on a rolling basis to the COGS, and the COGS submit for funding on a quarterly basis to the DOT. The first quarter wraps up today, and we're excited and encouraged by a positive response to the program so far. This program is available until funding runs out, so we highly encourage participation as soon as possible. Next slide, please. Safe Routes to School is a comprehensive program that can impact students and their families as vulnerable road users in our community, creating opportunities for students to benefit from safe, accessible, and sustainable routes to school can be done through equitable programs and events, providing bicycle and pedestrian safety education, and evaluating barriers to active transportation. Walk audit reports can recommend solutions for municipalities to use when advancing engineering and enforcement activities. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. I'm hopeful that you've learned more about the Safe Routes to School program, can spread the word about the program within your own community. One more pitch to please take a look at our website. Watch the What's New section as we continue to make updates and the program grows. And also please register for Walk, Bike, and Roll to School Day on May 8th and apply for the Active Transportation Micro Grants. Contact me with any questions or comments. And again, thank you for your time. I can also answer questions at
Yeah,
this point.
no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kristen.
Yeah.
I know that I've said this to you already, but for those of you on the call this morning, listening to Kristen, I'm so excited that this program is back up and running. You know, for those of you who have been around when, you know, Safe Routes to School started, and then, you know, the funding was lost and nothing was going on for a long time. You know, to go on now and to see, you know, an updated website and lots of information, new information coming out all the time. You know, Kristen, who's just been great, really promoting the program. It's just, I think, very exciting for our Connecticut municipalities and for our schools and our kids and our communities. So I'm excited that it's back up and running, and there's a lot of great opportunities out there. Lisa did put the link to the Safe Routes to School website in the chat. So if you haven't clicked on it and saved it, you should. Like Kristen, I will encourage you to visit the website. Like I said, lots of great information. You should all be encouraging your schools to register for the National Walk, Bike, Roll to School Day. And I have a couple of questions for Kristen, but I wanted to open it up. If anybody has any questions, who's listening first, we can take those. You can raise your hand or you can put it in the chat. I'll give you a moment to see if anybody has any questions for Kristen. Not. Yep.
You said that the audits were on the Safe Routes to School site. Is that right? Under which of the blue tabs is that? Where is it?
Yes. Great question. It's not yet under a blue tab because it's still under the What's New section. So it hasn't moved over yet, but soon to be. So right under the What's New at the bottom of the page is the link to the story maps.
And I love that they're story maps. I love story maps.
Okay, yeah.
So
Thank you.
I have, Doug, are you good? I have a question in the chat and then I have a raised hand. So we'll go to the chat first. Good morning. I am a member of the Bike Walk Canton, and we are interested in working with DOT to utilize our commuter lot, which has a low percentage of use. We would like to create a traffic garden there. How can Safe Routes to School help us move this idea forward?
So I think the question is how to use a DOT lot. Is that right?
Yep, a commuter lot for a traffic garden.
So the particular use of that is outside of our Safe Routes to School program, but the concept of teaching bicycle and pedestrian safety is well within our program. So the portions that are well within, including the bicycle and pedestrian safety components, I'm happy to go over with you, with anybody interested. I do like to talk about that quite a bit. However, obtaining a space to do that in it may be outside of the program. So I'd encourage you to kind of go through if you have questions about DOT in general, definitely go to the customer care center and they'll be able to direct you to the right person.
And we can also, we can put Kristen's email in the chat just in case you want to connect with her, afterwards. Jim, I'm going to come to you in a second. We had a hand up first. So Nicholas, your hand was up.
Hey, how's it going? First off, thank you so much for speaking to us today. We're very excited that this program has been revived. And in our COG, MetroCOG, we've already had 2 applications for the Active Transportation Micro Grant, which we're very excited for. I have 2 quick questions. One is, since we've received these applications and we're going to send them off to DOT soon, what sort of contracting will we need in place with the subawardees? We've tried to reach out, but we haven't really gotten a concrete answer on that.
Great question. So let us kind of work on that and figure that out, and we can get that information right out to the COGs.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And the second question I had is, I know the program's still pretty early, but what kind of scope is there for example, demonstration activities, both supporting and planning? Because I myself, before I became a regional planner, I was studying school streets where
Mhm.
they close the street off at both ends and make basically the street that a school is on a pedestrian zone during uh, school start and school ending hours. So I think that's something that we can begin to implement in our state at some point. And I was wondering if you guys have any capacity for that.
The program's capacity at this point is around the non-infrastructure activities. So encouragement for like a walk, bike, and roll to school day events, whether or not the municipality decides like during event day to do something for a special event, that might be one thing to take a look at. But the one of the other pieces is our walk audit program that I talked about briefly. There are recommendations that are site specific to schools. That are centered around different maybe demonstration projects to get to an infrastructure, to collect data from that to be able to get to an infrastructure recommendation. However, our program doesn't provide funding for that. So we do have walk audits, like I mentioned, as part of our evaluation process. We are the team, including all of the stakeholders that are involved in that walk audit process, the municipality, the school administration, the parent community, students, the entire school community. There are recommendations that are made in terms of levels of complexity, may include something like that, but there is no funding available in our program for that. So the documentation then can be used to apply for funding through programs that would have money available for demonstration projects, that type of thing. Does that
Okay.
get to your question?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you
Okay.
so much. Appreciate it.
And that was actually Jim Michael's question in the chat as well. Basically that, residents have asked for, like, use the Safe Routes to School money the state has for actual infrastructure improvements. But as you just said, there is no money for the infrastructure. Someone in the chat did mention like SS4A grants for some of the infrastructure improvements. And then, I know, Kristen, that you mentioned a couple of other programs that DOT does have that people could potentially apply to. I don't know if you want to just say them again in case people missed them the first time.
Sure. The Safe Routes Partnership encourages participation in the federal program, the Transportation Alternatives Program, very competitive grant program, as well as the state has the Community Connectivity Grant Program. So again, a competitive program. So we encourage you to kind of really participate in the non-infrastructure components of the Safe Routes to School program, including any type of events, education, and then the evaluation process to be able to document the commitment to improving road safety around the schools.
And then, like you said, there's a completed product at the end that could potentially be used to support those applications to those grant programs, right? So similar to when, the SCR team does a road safety assessment for municipality and gives them a report at the end, they can use that information potentially to request funding through some other channel.
There's just no guarantee of funding. Yeah,
of course.
Yep.
Yes. I will say, and I don't know, it depends on the municipality certainly, but we have seen some municipalities use our road safety assessment reports, even to just request, municipal funding through their, local budget process, depending on what they were looking for to spend. But I don't see, Jim, I think, has acknowledged that we've answered that question. I don't see any other hand at the moment or question in the chat, but I have a couple of questions for you. I'm curious to know the Vision Zero distinction for the schools that came out of the council and the legislation. What exactly does the school have to do to get that?
Great question. Yeah, there is an application. One of those blue buttons, Doug, is on the top of it. Is the application for the Vision Zero Program Distinction Award, and the legislation had outlined basically three components that you discuss the mission of the Vision Zero Council, really make that understood among the school community. Participation in pedestrian safety skills, and bicycle and pedestrian safety skills are definitely part of the Safe Routes to School program. So any type of assistance you need to get the education components to the schools, we'd be happy to help with. And driver safety as well. So I know that the DMV has contests, for video contests, things like that, that students can participate in. There's lots of different ways that schools can demonstrate driver safety as well. And we are encouraging student-led projects. We've seen quite a few wonderful examples of student-led projects. And so that's always encouraged, especially when the students, get the opportunity to maybe present to a community meeting or a board of education, things like that. It's always kind of really a great tool to be able to get the word out about road safety around their schools and things that the students themselves are concerned about. So that's a little bit more about the Vision Zero program distinction, brand new in its infancy. So we're very highly encouraging participation. I would love to see some of the efforts that are already being done across the state. So, but always reach out if you have any questions about it.
Has anybody applied yet to receive it?
We don't have any yet, so we're
Okay.
looking
So
forward to hopefully getting.
If you're listening this morning and
Yeah.
you want to be the first, I suggest you get on there and look at the requirements. But I will say, just in case anybody's wondering this, I'll ask it because people might be wondering. The municipality doesn't have to have established a Vision Zero policy or have identified themselves as a Vision Zero municipality in order for the school to apply, do they?
No, great question. They do not. They do not. You do not have to be designated a Vision Zero municipality to participate in this program.
Okay.
It's really centered around the schools and kind of, getting the word out about road safety around the schools,
Okay.
both for pedestrians and drivers.
Yeah. So good clarification, folks, in
Yep,
case you are, thinking that there's a school that could apply, but you're not a Vision Zero municipality yet, although you all should be. That's my sidebar. Okay, so there's that. And I do think that we put it in the chat. Is that correct? Yes. We have put the Vision Zero program distinction link in the chat as well. I have a couple other questions for Kristen, so I'm just going to keep going if I don't see any hands up or questions in the chat. My other question is, you mentioned you have 41 schools registered so far for the National Walk Bike Roll to School Day. Do you know how many municipalities that covers? Like how many, are there multiple schools from one town or city? Like how many actual municipalities does that cover?
Yep, it's 15 municipalities so far. Although in my conversations, I'm hopeful to see that increase in the next few days even. That I've talked to different schools and school districts that are interested in participating. But yes, you can, it can be a participation district-wide. So there is the option if there's a district-wide event that you can sign up that way or sign up per school if they're school-based events. Often it's the events are in conjunction with the entire school community. So really like the parent group, the PTA could be really helpful resource to have those events get started and be sustainable.
Absolutely. And I would think that, some of the organizations within a community. So we had, the question come in from like Bike Walk Canton. There's other, pedestrian and bicycle advocacy groups in a lot of municipalities. I would think that they could work with the schools as well to promote an event on that day. So if
it always makes for a much more successful event, the more participation and involvement we have from all stakeholders.
Absolutely. So if you're thinking about it, folks, you can do that too. Sorry, question came in. Hold on. What? Thank you for the information regarding Melissa's comment. What is needed to become a Vision Zero municipality? I'm aware it is not needed for the Vision Zero school distinction, but curious what the town needs to do. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, so Vision Zero. So basically, you know, Connecticut has adopted the Vision Zero, and we have a Vision Zero council in Connecticut. Individual municipalities can adopt a Vision Zero policy. We have some that have, and we have some examples. I'd be happy to talk to you offline if you'd like. Lisa can put my email in the chat as well. And then if you want to email me, we can talk a little bit more about that. But it's really individual to the municipality how their Vision Zero policy is written. But I don't want to call anyone out, but I know we have at least one municipality on this morning that has gone through the process. So and I know you know, other Stanford has done it. So you know, it's definitely a little bit of a process in order to create the policy. Usually have to create your own little Vision Zero, you know, council or committee within your municipality. But we can definitely talk offline if you'd like about how to do that piece of it. But you know, as we said, you don't have to do that before you can do the school distinction. And I think Lisa's like faster than I can read. But yes, she put the registration for the walk, bike, roll to school day in there already. So I'm like, she's dropping them in as I'm talking, and I can't read it that fast while I'm talking at the same time. She's quick.
I'm trying.
I know.
And the registration for the Walk, Bike, and Roll to School Day is the national site. And we also encourage you to reach out to us. So you do have my email address. So if you do decide to do an event, let us know, because we like to be able to support events when we can. We have teams that are available to come out and help to support and encourage walking, biking, rolling to school. And as Melissa mentioned, it's helpful to get all of the stakeholders involved, because it really can lead to improvements, you know, kind of then looking at more of the evaluation process and that kind of thing. We've seen a lot of that come out of events.
And you know, I mean, I have done some road safety assessments where, you know, a school has been in the vicinity. The thing about it too, I always feel like people, yes, you want to look at like the safe routes to school from that perspective when you're doing, you know, your walk audits for the school. But any improvement, I mean, you're improving the safety for all users, not just the kids who are walking to school, right? If you're doing improvements in an area, yes, there's a school there. Yes, it's when kids are walking to school or biking to school, but it's also, you know, on the weekend when people in that neighborhood are walking their dog, or their kids are just playing out in their yard, right? I mean, it's a ripple effect of safety improvements that aren't just specific to the school. They're actually improvements for the whole community at that point. So I think it's important to recognize that, you know, it's important. Obviously, we want kids to get to school safely, but it has that added benefit of helping the neighborhood all the time. You know, which is nice. And then I did have another question. I know today is the day, I think you said the deadline for the micro grant, the first round. Do you have an idea of how many you'll be getting or have gotten already, or maybe have gotten already, or?
No, I mean, great question. They're like I mentioned, this is the end of the quarter today, so we're starting to kind of get some information about that. But I wouldn't have that. I don't have. I wish I had that available right now. I don't have that available of me right now. But it is encouraged to keep, you know, to participate. It's a rolling basis until funding is run out. So it's highly encouraged to participate as soon as possible. This was the end of the first quarter, just released March 1st, really, you know, kind of gets submitted to us quarterly. So highly encouraged to just participate as soon as you can. And then, you know, if you do need more help and information on setting up education based events or at the schools, that's something that we can help with to kind of get a plan together for what you might need the micro grant for, whether if it's within the schools.
Well, we know MetroCog said they hopefully will have some.
Yeah, but hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry I don't have that number on me.
No, is that something that, will that information be added to the website once the quarter has ended and you have, like, will you put up how many applications you got, or will the people who receive them, like, will that information be on the website, or how would people know if?
I'll put that in the feedback thing and we can figure, I don't have an answer to that. Sorry.
I know. That's
but
fine.
yeah, but that's
Just
a great point. So if people are interested in that, that's something we can consider, I guess.
I wonder if, I mean, I'm just talking because this comes up a lot with the things that Jason and I do in like the safety circuit rider program. It might just be something to think about, only because we get asked a lot, well, do you have like an example of that? Has someone done it? Where, and can we see an example of what what
Yeah.
an application looks like, or what a Vision Zero policy looks like, what a complete streets policy looks like, right? So we're always asked if someone's willing to share their successful program or policy or whatever, for people to work off of. So
yeah,
if you do get if you do get some and someone's willing to share their application as an example, it might be helpful to folks for the next round to see that. Just a thought.
Yeah, we can take that in as feedback and figure it in, like I said, we kind of figure out what the next steps are for that. It's a brand new program, so
Right,
we're working on. Yeah. As far as the walk audits, though, that now that you mentioned the success stories, we're very highly encouraged by this format, especially for the walk audits, because we've been able to work with those two municipalities, Hamden and Norwalk, to be able to, get some of those recommendations put in place through the municipality, like you were mentioning, kind of through the municipality funding and resources. They're able to prioritize now some of those recommendations and get them completed. So we're actively working with the municipalities as follow-up too. So so the walk audit report, the recommendations that can be implemented are implemented quickly. Other recommendations will take longer, will take funding, as we mentioned. But we're very highly encouraged by this process and this format this time around.
I love the story maps. I'm a big fan. We actually did a coffee and conversation, I don't even know, some years ago during the pandemic. One of our coffee and conversations featured, it feels like it was like 10 years ago, but I know it wasn't. I know Doug's shaking his head, right? But we did a coffee and conversation on the story maps, because I just think they're such a great tool, and there are some municipalities who use them really well. And I love that you're using them for your walk audit, for your walk audits. I made a note to talk to Jason later that maybe we'll start doing something with them, because I think they're great, but we don't actually use them yet in our program. So we might have to start, because I just think it's a great way for people to see the information. And I love that you're sharing them on your website for folks to actually see, like, if I request a walk audit from the Safe Routes to School program, what's it actually going to look like, right? Like I said, people like to see the kind of example of what they're getting. So I think it's great.
Yeah, and we're hoping to be able to highlight some of those, like before and after, what's worked and kind of how it's working and that kind of thing too, as we move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly if a municipality is implementing some of the recommendations, it would be nice to see like a follow-up, here's what they did and here's what it looks like now. That would be actually really, really nice. I think those are all the questions I had jotted down. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to ask Kristen? And Kristen, is there anything else that you want to share with folks before? I'm waiting to see if anyone has any questions while I ask you that. Is there anything else you want folks to know other than to go to the website?
Active transportation micro grants, please apply for funding. It's again rolling basis, so please apply as soon as you can. Walk, bike, enroll to school day registration, national registration, at that website that's been shared with you. It's also on our website as well. May 8th is the national day. Schools are welcome to participate on any day that's convenient for them. A lot of times the national day is a Wednesday. Sometimes schools prefer to participate maybe on a Friday or something like that. So depending on what's most convenient, we'd like to help support those events. So please let us know as well, like what the plans are for your event, and get in touch with us, and we can determine whether or not we can have teams there to support you. So the micro grants, the registration, take a look at our story maps and the evaluation process, and continue to watch the site for updates to that, so you can kind of see what's new. We're really actively working to keep that updated. So, and the Vision Zero program distinction, before that's the other piece to it too. So please take a look at that. Like I mentioned, we're really impressed with a lot of the different projects and programs that are going on in schools as we do our observations. And this is really a forum for you to be able to kind of brag about those, right? Like, so kind of really get distinction and recognition for what's already being done for road safety awareness, pedestrian safety, bicycle safety, driver safety, and the mission of the Vision Zero Council. So if any questions on that, I'm happy to work with schools and municipalities on that as well.
Terrific. And I will, I had a thought when you were just saying that, if you happen to participate in any events on May 8th, or a different day, if somebody picks a different day, Kristen, feel free to share that back with us too, because, we can kind of promote that as, an event that happened, and kind of cross, just promote and show. If you have a picture you can send me or anything like that, we can talk about it on our end too, from the T2 Center side.
Great.
Just so people kind of know that it happened, but also think about, we missed out this year, but maybe we'll do that next year, kind of a thing. So I think we answered everyone's questions. You've answered all of mine.
Yep.
Oh, actually, I did have one other one. Sorry. You mentioned when you were talking about the micro grants, I know you listed several things that they can purchase and pay for. Is bike racks one of them? I didn't hear bike racks.
Great question. Not bike racks at this time. It's only non-infrastructure items. So think non-infrastructure items that supplement, bicycle and pedestrian safety activities. So like helmets, bike locks, lights,
safety vests,
any program materials, training materials, that kind of, but non-infrastructure items.
Got it.
Up to $5,000, and each eligible applicant can apply up to twice in a calendar year, providing they spend all their money that they receive. So and also it's open to schools, school districts, municipalities, and nonprofit organizations. So if those are the eligible applicants, even within the same municipality.
Okay. So you could apply, once for education materials, and then a second time in that same calendar year for bike helmets or safety vests or something like that. You can apply twice in any calendar year, but you have to spend the money. But you have to spend money. Yeah, we don't give you more if you haven't spent the first batch, like everything else. Okay, perfect.
And again, like, take a look at the walk audits and see if that's something in your municipality that you're considering as part of the Safe Routes to School program.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of great information. Thank you, Kristen, for being our guest this morning.
Thank you for having me. Yeah,
like I said, I mean, I've just been Kristen and I have spoken many times since she started at DOT, and I'm really excited that the program's back up and running, and that not just back up and running, but back up and running, well, and with a lot of great information and kind of full steam ahead. Oh, we just had a question pop in. Is there any overlapping between this program and TAP? Thanks.
Great question.
Yeah,
TAP was one of the funding resources, so that's the Federal Transportation Alternatives Program that the Safe Routes Partnership encourages application for Safe Routes to School projects. again, participation, it's a competitive program, as you probably know. So it's not, there's no Safe Routes to School funding for infrastructure. But again, participation in the non-infrastructure program, including evaluation, which is the walk audits and similar, can help with documentation towards your, what you plan for in the Safe Routes to School, what you have planned for engineering and enforcement within the Safe Routes to School framework. So I guess it is a source of funding. I hope that answers the question in terms of overlapping. I'm not exactly sure about the overlapping piece, but it can be a source of funding for infrastructure but through a competitive process. That makes sense. So again, participation in our non-infrastructure program can help towards documentation and applications.
Right, but it doesn't guarantee anything. It's just would student crossing flags or signs be considered for the micro grant, I believe is
the micro grant
question.
So I think that any non-infrastructure items that promote bicycle and pedestrian safety, I think that's kind of how what our application states. So it's not specific to, like, it would be a pedestrian safety item, non-infrastructure pedestrian safety. I guess hopefully that answers your question.
I think so, like,
Yeah.
I think that would be non-infrastructure, right? I mean, it'd be similar to a bike helmet or a safety vest, the flags that, to use at crosswalks.
I think that we're encouraging them as part of a program. So if it's part of an education program or things like that, that's kind of what we're looking to be able to have. The active transportation microgrant program support is bicycle and pedestrian safety education. So think about like a comprehensive education program. If the item is going to be part of that, that would be something that would be eligible.
Okay. Yep. Thanks. This answers the question. Perfect. Okay. So
and the applications go to the Council of Governments, so they go right to the COGS.
Okay. And then the COGS submit them to DOT and then that process. Okay. So good to know, everyone, if you're thinking about it, get in touch with your COG, send them the application. There will be more time. Obviously, today's the deadline for the first quarter, but then, if people are hearing about it just for the first time today, you now have time to process it and figure it out for the next round. So unless somebody takes all the money this time around, but I don't think so. There should hopefully still be money for the second round. I don't think everyone's going to rush in today with their application on the deadline day, but maybe, who knows? Okay, so last call for questions. We had a few come in just there as I was wrapping up, so I'll give you folks one last chance to put them in the chat if you have anything. And if not, Kristen, thank you again. I'm a huge fan of you and the program. I think you're doing such a wonderful job having revitalized it and really getting the word out. And so I'm glad that we were able to do this to get it out to folks. If you're on the call and there's someone in your municipality who wanted to attend but couldn't, we did record this. So eventually it will be one of our videos on our website. So you can always refer them back to it. And with that, I'll thank everybody for their time this morning. Thank you for the great questions that you asked of Kristen, and we will maybe see you at our next one. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Yeah, and for those of you who are celebrating, have a happy Easter this weekend.